Okay, guys, we're going to talk about innerHTML and then insertAdjacentHTML and how they're different. Let's look at our new HTML. Commented out everything. I just have two H1s now, right? One that says I am first and it has a span element inside, and the other one just says I am second. Okay, so let's select that. Const my tag document.querySelector dot first, and then we're gonna console.log it .log my tag .innerHTML. So now you can see what innerHTML does. So since we selected this H1 and we console.log innerHTML, it's going to show us everything that is inside, including other elements such as span, right? That's why we see everything here. Okay. Now, what if we want to add on to this? What if we want to add on right here, instead of I am first, I am new first. We want to do that, but not in HTML, in JavaScript. How can we do that with innerHTML? Well, it's actually kind of easy. Now we can do my tag .innerHTML plus equals. Remember, this is the same thing as equals my tag .innerHTML plus, and I'm going to use template strings. With innerHTML, you can straight up type out the tags like this. I am new first. Make sure we close our tags. See? And this way, we don't even have to append it to the body. We don't have to do append child. Now, of course, this can be shortened to plus equals, and it still works. I want to show you a cool trick. Is there any way we can put this on top of the first one? So we actually can. Let me show you how to do that. All right, so we can just take this. Let's see if this works. That does work. Okay. What's cool about JavaScript is that it remembers what the previous value is until you save it. So that's why we can do this. That's why we can have the new string plus the old string, right? And then once you save it, it's going to erase it from memory, but it still works because it put it there first, okay? Now, with innerHTML, you're always at risk of an SQL injection attack, right? Because you are taking in element tags as pure strings. So this is a good way for hackers to hack you. So the actual better way was what we was doing before, right? We had to create an element, give it text content, and then we append it. That way we can't get SQL attacked. But for your personal projects, for something small that no one's going to care about because you're not Facebook or Google, you can go right ahead and use innerHTML. I use that a lot for all of my personal projects. Okay, now we're going to move on to insertAdjacentHTML. Okay, let's look at insertAdjacentHTML. What does it do? Parses the specified text as HTML or XML and inserts it to the resulting nodes. Okay, it takes in two arguments, the position you want to put it and the text content. And let's look at this part here. This method does not parse the element blah, 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 avoids the extra step of serialization, making it much faster than direct innerHTML manipulation. So whenever you can use this, you should use it, okay? And there's a small difference. Sometimes you need to use innerHTML. Well, I'll talk about that at the end. All right, let's go back. Now, let's see what we can do. So in our JavaScript, insertAdjacentHTML, let's start with, there's a bunch of positions. Let's start with before begin. So we're going to insert it before the element, only valid if the element in the DOM tree has a parent element. So let's check that. We're selecting the first one. This one, does it have a parent element? Yes, it does. That's the body tag. Okay. So before begin, and let's just put new content. So if you look here, you see that new content is now on top. Let's take a look at the console. Select it here. You see, it created a new text node, right? And it put it before begin. So before this H1. Okay, let's move on to the next one. After begin. So I'm just going to erase that. After, whoops, not in caps. After begin. Cool. See how it's a little bit different than the other one? Let's see what happened. Okay, so after begin puts the text content on top of the first text content, but still as the child of the element. Okay, whereas before begin puts it outside as a sibling of this element. Here, let me change it back. See, this new content is not inside of the H1. That's why it's not even bold, right? But if we change it to after begin, it will be inside. Now the next one is before end. What does before end do? Let's take a look. Now it still puts it inside of the element, right? But it will be the last one. Okay. New content is now after I am first. What about after end? So before and after will put your new content outside of the element. Okay. So after end, it puts it right in between the first and the second, right? Because it's after the first one. So that's going to be after all of the child of the first one. That's where the new content is, but it's going to be before the second one. All right. Hope that was helpful. And also, if you just want to do text, you don't need to do adjacent HTML. Okay. So I would do this if I put something like a paragraph right here. Okay. Whoops, forgot the end. And that would work. But if you're just doing text, this would also work the way I was doing it before. But semantically, and underneath the hood for it to run a little bit faster, you can do insert adjacent text. And it's still the same positions before and, before begin, after begin. Same thing. Okay. So it's like append child and append. If you're just inserting text, insert adjacent text. If you're like inserting an actual element, insert adjacent HTML. Okay. Now, one big difference is that innerHTML can be used to replace the content, whereas insert adjacent HTML cannot. Because if you look at the name, it can only insert stuff. It cannot replace things. So if we want to replace this I am first text, you cannot do it with insert adjacent HTML. Because any position you put, right, and any new text is just either going to appear here, here, or underneath it. But it's not going to replace this. So yes, if you want to replace something, you must use innerHTML. Okay. So let me do H1, new, and close it. Okay. But if your text content is initially blank, right? Then you should do it the safe way, and you do insert text or insert adjacent HTML. I'm going to do insert text before begin, hi. Okay, and we see it here. Okay, cool.